Power Rangers, the reboot to the very popular television series of the same name from the early 90s. And as a kid, I went from really loving the show and pretty much tried to get all of the action figures and the Megazords. I might actually still have a Megazord in the attic somewhere, actually. I think it was the white one, I'm not sure. But to me, it was one of those phases all us kids during the 90s, or most of us kids during the 90s, went through. Just like with just like that Pokemon cards phase that I think most of us geeks went through. And yeah, I remember watching this. I think it might have been on the weekends on a Saturday morning. I can't remember for it, exactly when. But I always remember as a kid, trying to watch this show, and I loved it as a kid. It was just one of those phases. So yeah, when it was announced we were getting a new movie, I was hoping for something that would be fun, enjoyable. Was expecting a bit of cheesiness. I was not expecting a masterpiece when it comes to filmmaking, and I wasn't expecting this to be a perfect or a great movie. I just wanted to have fun, like I did as a child when I watched the TV show, to be able to enjoy it and be thrown back to my childhood for a few hours, and at least be watchable. Because like I said, I really, really didn't expect much from this film. And surprisingly, fun and enjoyable it was. I was actually pleasantly surprised with this movie. It's not great, okay? This is not a great film, and it's got issues. It's got quite a few issues, in fact. And the film has got its faults, but this movie was everything that I was actually expecting and hoping it would be. Knowing and being aware that this could potentially be an okay and a very cheesy movie. This was a fun film. It was actually watchable, which was a big plus. As the film starts, and as the film and the plot and everything unravels, it was watchable, and I was like, yeah, okay, relax and just have fun, enjoy it. And I actually really did enjoy this film, and I did have a lot of fun with it. So the basic plot, and the plot is basic, which you'd come to expect, where you got 5 teenagers, all with different quirks and personalities, including one LGBT character, and they're all brought together to become the newest generation in a line of warriors known as the Power Rangers. Now, the world rests in their hand as Rita Repulsa, a powerful witch and former Green Ranger, launches an assault seeking the Zeo Crystal, which will basically wipe out all life, and she gains power by creating worlds and destroying worlds and all that. We've seen it all before. And she creates an army of stone golems called putties. Remember these guys from the old TV show? Well, in this, these big lumbering sort of rock things. And I wasn't particularly over keen with the design of them in this. And then you've also got this giant, a golden monster called Goldar, which was him in the old TV show. I actually quite like the look of this guy in the old TV show. It was actually quite a bit creepy as a child, I remember. So when it comes to pacing, the movie moves along quite quickly. There are moments when the movie does pause, but these are mostly character moments, and I really appreciated those moments. And yes, you heard me right, this movie actually has character moments. Now at first, the movie moves so quickly that I felt the characters were just being thrown at you. And at first impressions were that they were not going to be that well drawn out. I was a little bit worried, but the movie then spends a lot of time during its first and second acts. Once you've quickly introduced to these characters, it spends a lot of time getting to know these characters. And there's this one scene which has them all sitting around a campfire, telling a secret or a story about themselves to one another. And I found that to be quite a nice moment in the movie. Something I didn't come to expect in this movie. The character development, I'm not saying the character development in this film is great. It's still it could have been a hell of a lot better. But I'll give them credit for really trying and achieving some really nice character moments in this movie. They did spend time with these characters, which I really just didn't expect. So in a way, yeah, the characters were drawn out, but they were thinly drawn out. Like, I could have done a lot, there are a few characters that were sort of left out, but for me, it was more of the moments where you had these characters together. They're the moments that I liked. But this leads me into possibly a negative for some, and was for me. There is not a lot of Power Rangers in their suits in this movie, including those classic martial arts, fight scenes with the putties or the giant rocks in this. Obviously you get those moments, but it's not really until the third act. And when you get those moments, which are fun and I did enjoy, overall I found them to be a little lackluster. This for me was more of an introduction to these characters. That's how it felt, and for a new generation as well as old, and focuses a lot on trying to build these characters instead of throwing them into suits and all of that straight away. And I do appreciate that they attempted at doing this, but was hoping for a little more Power Rangers action with a little more impact. Oh, and by the way, there's a mild spoiler, maybe a mild spoiler for some coming up. It's not really a major sort of, very big spoiler, but I'm about to go into something that might be for some. But, it does get very nostalgic when you get the Megazords running together towards the enemy for the first time, and you hear the classic Mighty Morphin Power Rangers song from the TV show. Do you remember? And, it made me smile, but at the same time was just a little lackluster. But I still really enjoyed those moments, and the movie overall was a lot of fun. But I feel like the director couldn't quite handle the film when it came to the action. Whether it be down to the editing, I'm not entirely sure, but the action was not that well as handled as the previous two acts of the movie. Everyone gave an okay performance. I actually really dug, I think this is how you say his name, I apologise in advance, RJ Cyler as the Blue Ranger. I thought he was really good in this. He plays this autistic character, which I believe is the first superhero movie to portray such a character, I think. I'm not sure. And another character being a member of the LGBT community, which I thought was a very good decision to make. To me, it came across as in a message of saying, no matter who you are, in a society that you may be frowned upon, you could still be great and do things that people would not expect you to do and actually look up to you. Because, we do live in a world where if you're gay, you're lesbian or disabled, you may be frowned upon or mocked, and it will happen in this world that we live in today. But for me, this film sticks its two fingers up to the people who just do that, who mock those people, and I really appreciated it that they made these characters as diverse as they are. I really liked that. I loved the design of the new suits, but not so much the Megazords. It was cool and nostalgic to see them again, but was not overly keen on the new designs. I really liked Elizabeth Banks as the main villain, Rita Repulsa. She really looked immersed into the role and looked like she was enjoying herself, actually. And even though it was a little hammy at times, actually no, it wasn't little, it was very hammy at times, which you would come to expect in this type of movie anyway. Because this was a cheese fest of a film. But I just liked what she did with the character, and she had some cool moments. I thought Bryan Cranston as Zordon was great. His performance is all motion capture, and you see him through this grid on a wall, which I sort of liked. And I thought he was great casting. I'm still wondering what it was that actually sort of, I'm still sort of wondering what attracted him to the movie, to the script, or any, all of that. But no, I like that he was in the film. So yeah, the movie is a cheese fest. It's very cheesy, but you'd expect that from this type of movie, and it did exactly what I felt like it shouldn't do, and that's not take itself too seriously and be aware of what it is. It didn't do that. It didn't take itself seriously, and you could tell this film was very aware of itself, even though at times I felt like the tone of the movie was a little patchy, a little all over the place. For example, there's moments in the movie that's quite dark and gritty, then you got all your silly cheesy moments all of a sudden. The silly moments you come to expect with Power Rangers, but the gritty moments were a little jarring, resulting in the tone of the movie to be overall, for me, a little patchy. They definitely struggled to capture the overall tone of this movie. But it was fun. It was enjoyable. It was nostalgic, and I had a lot of fun with it. The fight scenes and action was a little lackluster, and I think people will be put off a little by the fact that you've got to wait until the third act to see all of the iconic sort of imagery, you know, all that iconic stuff like the fight scenes, the martial arts and the Megazords. And I do feel like, especially when you first see the Power Rangers first fight, it was lackluster. It did lack impact. And, you know, this is not a short movie. I think it's just over 2 hours. So a lot of people will be put off that you've got to wait really until the third act, until you see a glimpse at all of that iconic sort of stuff. When it comes to soundtrack, I kind of liked it a lot, and I kind of didn't like it. I don't like it when they insert a lot of songs from artists into a film, because then it feels like, you know, you're watching, you know, at times it's like, oh, they're just trying to sell, you know, a greatest hits CD. But when it comes to the actual score of the film, I liked it because it matched the film, as in it was also very cheesy. For example, there's a moment where they finally put the suits on and they walk in towards the camera. It's in the trailers, and they walk in towards the camera, and it's a really cheesy moment along with the soundtrack. And I thought the soundtrack was great because it worked so well with that moment, and I had a big smile on my face because I was like, yeah, this is silly, this is cheesy, but you know what, it worked. But so yeah, if you turn your brain off, this is a fun movie. It was a watchable movie. It's got issues. It's a little bit messy when it comes to narrative and editing and how certain scenes were shot. You know, for example, shaky cam. I hate shaky cam, and that is used quite a bit in this film as well. But, you know, overall, I did enjoy it. And I will be giving Power Rangers a C+. So yeah, that is my take. They are my opinions of Power Rangers movie. I really didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I did. Like I recognize the film is not great. That's all obviously reflected in the grade. But I enjoyed it, and you know, I got lost for 2 hours. I got immersed into this story. I mean, it's a very basic plot, but I did get immersed, and that's what films are designed to do. I enjoyed it. So what did you guys think of the new Power Rangers movie? Did you love it? Did you hate it? You know, are you one of those like me who grew up as a kid during the 90s and went through that phase of really loving the film and collecting all the action figures? Let me know below. And if you like what you see and you share the same passion as me, then why not hit subscribe?